The smartphone that I played with day and night actually turned into a little girl who even called me master. What's worse, she took advantage of my carelessness to launch a surprise attack. My name is Luo Gentleman, and I'm otaku. Having too many wives is my biggest trouble. But even with so many wives, I often feel empty inside. When I think that I haven't even touched a girl's hand, I feel really unhappy. Just as I was complaining about the unfairness of fate, my phone on the table rang. It turned out that my newly purchased phone had arrived. I eagerly transferred the videos from my old phone to the new one. However, because there were too many videos, the transfer was very slow. I had planned to take a nap, but the alarm kept ringing and it made me really annoyed. I angrily pressed the pause button, but when I touched the phone, a white light flashed, and when I opened my eyes again, a cute girl had appeared in the room out of nowhere, and my hand was on her thigh. I, who had never been in contact with girls, immediately blushed with embarrassment. When I heard the girl call me master, I was stunned for a moment, but immediately realized that she might have walked into the wrong room after drinking too much. I politely asked her to leave where she came from, but as soon as I said that, the girl looked at me with teary eyes, which made me a little nervous. Who knows what she wants to do? Unexpectedly, the next second, she scolded me for finding new love and forgetting the old. We had used the phone together for so long just last night. What the hell is going on? Is she trying to make me the fall guy? I yelled at her for her inappropriate behavior and decided to call the police to handle the situation. However, after searching the whole room, I couldn't find any trace of the phone. Just when I didn't know what to do, the phone rang from the girl's body. I thought she just wanted me to be the fall guy, but she turned out to be a thief. I reached out my hand to ask for it from her. The girl asked me if I wanted to answer or hang up. I responded with answer without thinking. Then the girl lightly flicked her hair and suddenly kissed me with lightning speed. I didn't know what to do for a moment, wondering what she wanted to do. When my phone turned into a cute girl, I was shocked by the simple and rude way she answered the phone. After realizing what happened, I pushed her away in shock, but my hands accurately touched her sensitive area. I, who had never been in contact with girls, quickly backed away and saw the girl looking at me with a foolish expression without taking any action. Only then did I relax and reminisce about what had just happened. Just as I was thinking about it, my mother's voice brought me back to reality. I was startled, afraid that my mother had seen the embarrassing scene. When I looked back, I realized that the voice had come from the girl's mouth. Even her movements were identical to my mother. My mother said she would come to visit me later, but before I could react, she hung up. The girl had already returned to her cute appearance, and now I fully believed that she was the phone that had transformed. Could it be that everything I touched could become a girl? If so, I could do whatever I wanted and become the happiest male protagonist in the world of comics. I decided to try it out and eagerly took out my favorite REM to test it. However, after a long time, there was no response. I couldn't help but doubt the identity of the girl again. If she really was my phone, she would know what files were stored on it. There were some pictures of girls wearing very revealing clothing, but the file name was labeled as study materials. I was speechless, but she actually knew. When the girl asked me what I wanted to learn from them, I didn't know how to answer. Whatever I said would make me seem like a pervert. When the girl asked if I wanted to study girls' clothing, I immediately agreed. At this moment, I completely believe that she is the one who transformed into my phone. I asked her what her name was. It couldn't possibly be phone, right? But the girl said her owner hadn't given her a name yet. I had no idea what name to give her, but seeing the girl's hopeful eyes, I had a sudden inspiration. Why not call her Night Sky? After the girl had a name, she was very happy and hugged me, constantly acting spoiled. Just as I was getting lost in the moment, suddenly I heard the sound of the door opening. Besides my mom, there was no one else who could open the door. Looking at Night Sky in my arms, what should I do? If I were caught hugging a girl, I wouldn't be able to clear my name even if I jumped into the Yellow River. I picked up Night Sky and rushed to the bedroom, gently putting her in the wardrobe and telling her not to make a sound. After giving her instructions, my mom walked in. Luckily, Night Sky was already hidden. I breathed a sigh of relief, but my mom noticed something was off. There seemed to be the smell of a girl in the room. I explained that it was just a new laundry detergent, but in my heart, I thought my mom's nose was too sensitive. At this moment, I saw Night Sky's shoes next to the wardrobe. What kind of absurd plot was this? Was the screenwriter trying to kill me? While my mom wasn't paying attention, I quietly approached the shoes. When she turned to look at me, luckily, I had already hidden the shoes. I was nervous, but my vigilant mom still suspected something. She picked up a figurine from the table and threw it at the wall. Without hesitation, I flew to save my wife. Luckily, there was no danger, but an ominous feeling arose in my heart. My mom questioned me about the shoes, but before I could come up with an excuse, she opened the wardrobe and found a Lolita inside. Mom let out a faint sigh and then put her hand on my shoulder, telling me to turn myself in. She said that if I reported myself, she would often come to visit me and collect the reward money. Just as I was about to say something to prove my innocence, Mom interrupted and insisted on sending me to the correctional facility to work as a seamstress. At this point, Night Sky finally spoke up to clarify that I did not kidnap her. Mom was surprised that my behavior was so abnormal and that I had made Night Sky call me master. She immediately tried to distance herself from me and protect Night Sky. However, I hugged Mom's thigh and lied that Night Sky was my girlfriend, which seemed to calm her down a bit. After finally sending Mom away, she warned me to be careful before leaving. I didn't understand why, but I just wanted to end this farce as soon as possible. possible. However, Mom left me with something before leaving and warned me not to cause any fatalities. When I looked at what she had given me, my face turned red with embarrassment. I couldn't believe that my mom had given me something like this. Night Sky didn't seem to notice my embarrassment and was already engrossed in studying the object. I quickly snatched it away because if it were to be opened, it could potentially cause a social death for me. After hearing Night Sky's stomach growling, I realized that she might be hungry, but she was a phone. Could she really eat human food? I asked her to open her mouth and see how it was different from a human's. Night Sky obediently complied, and I couldn't help but blush as I looked at her pink cherry lips. As a gentleman, what was I thinking? I quickly pulled out a pile of snacks and let her choose whatever she wanted. Today, I was treating her. Night Sky immediately picked up a steamed bun from her bag and asked me if she could eat it. I was a bit speechless. Was this a case of birds of a feather flocking together? But I still generously told her not to be polite. Unexpectedly, she began to eat the plastic bag. Helplessly, I had to take it from her and demonstrate how to eat the steamed bun. Night Sky was very satisfied after eating, and I told her to eat more if she liked it. Then I found a jelly and wanted to let her try it. At that moment, a flash of white light appeared and Night Sky turned back into a phone. At least let me watch her eat the jelly before she turned back, I thought to myself. I began to recall the whole process of turning the phone into a girl. I had tried to turn Rem into a girl before, but failed. It seemed that I could only use this power once a day. I set the alarm for 10 p.m. and prepared to bring Night Sky out to accompany me to sleep the next day. However, when I lay in bed, I couldn't fall asleep. I saw a tissue on the table and an evil thought came to my mind. Just as I was about to grab it, I felt like Night Sky was watching my every move. I immediately lost interest and found my Hatsune Miku wife to sleep with instead. As I was half asleep, I saw a flash of white light, and when I could see clearly again, my drowsiness disappeared. My blanket had turned into a girl who asked if I wasn't sleepy and wanted to sleep with me. I blushed, but unexpectedly, she eagerly hugged me and urged me to sleep. My blanket had turned into a cute girl and wanted to sleep with me. Looking at her impressive curves and slender figure, I was a bit hesitant. I was inevitably a little nervous for the first time, but the girl didn't care and immediately hugged my head and buried it in her chest. I was almost suffocated and quickly broke free, gasping for air. As I was thinking whether or not to take the first step in my life with courage, the girl was already hit by sleepiness. Master, if you're not going to sleep, then I'll go ahead and sleep, she said, ignoring me after finishing her sentence. Watching the cute way the girl slept, I was caught up in intense mental struggles. In the end, I decided that the Night Sky was more to my taste. The girl was woken up by my crying, and when she heard me blaming her for turning into a human and not being able to turn the Night Sky back, she didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. She hugged me and said, "It's the same no matter who you hug." Feeling the pressure on my back, I couldn't help but blush. In the end, rationality defeated evil, and I pushed the girl away. But she said we've always slept hugging each other. Was it because I didn't like her current appearance? As a good man, I immediately started to explain the theory of gender differences. The girl shook her body, indicating that she only wanted to hug her master when sleeping and was thinking of nothing else. I was a little dizzy from the shaking, but the girl thought I was just too tired and told me to sleep. However, I couldn't fall asleep no matter how I lay in bed. I got up and asked the girl why she was so kind to me. She said the master never hit her, but the previous aunt not only folded and aired the sheets, but also used a stick to constantly beat her. Thankfully, I'm too lazy to do those things. I was at a loss for words. Isn't that just folding and airing the sheets while beating off the dust? As I was thinking, the girl suddenly took my hand and hoped that I would never hit her in the future. I couldn't help but have a nosebleed and swore that I would never fold the sheets again in my life. Lying in bed, I replayed the scene in my mind and couldn't fall asleep. At this moment, the girl suddenly hugged me, pressing a heavy object onto my arm. I was afraid of waking her up, so I lay still on the bed. Who will save me? I wanted to turn my phone into a girl and spend the night with her, but the neighbor's kitten suddenly threw a doll, which landed in my hand. A white light flashed, and a cute cat-eared girl appeared in front of me. I was speechless. How could I possibly touch such an innocent little girl? When I saw her tail wagging, I became curious. The girl also noticed my strangeness and asked, "Big brother, are you looking at my tail?" After saying this, she shook her tail back and forth. I asked her to stop because I couldn't control myself anymore. I told her not to wag her tail to seduce males in the future, and the girl readily agreed. Then I noticed her furry ears and asked if I could touch them. She said she likes being touched and asked me not to be shy. Although it sounded strange, I didn't care and started rubbing them non-stop. The girl also shook her tail comfortably, apparently not taking my words seriously. I suddenly grabbed her, causing her to lose strength and fall onto me. "No, don't touch my tail." Her reaction was unexpected. I quickly apologized, and then she stomach grumbled. I changed the subject and offered to get her something to eat. I told her not to be shy and come eat. She immediately perked up and licked the milk with her tongue. I'm speechless. I began teaching her how to eat like a human. Unexpectedly, as she took a bite, tears welled up in her eyes. She told me she had bitten her finger. I quickly grabbed it and put it in my mouth to stop the bleeding. The girl looked at me in disbelief, and then a blush appeared on her face the next second. That's when I realized something was wrong. I got a band-aid and helped her wrap the wound. I took care of her all day, and by the end of it, I was exhausted and collapsed on the bed, but she was still full of energy. When I saw saw the little girl jump onto my beloved computer. I immediately stopped her. This was too much for me to handle. When I found the room was already a mess, I no longer thought she was cute. Why was she getting on my nerves now? I leaned in and asked her for a satisfactory answer. Unexpectedly, she started acting cute. Big brother, don't be angry. Meow. The coffee wasn't on purpose. I apologize on her behalf. She clearly did it with her 2 hands, yet she was blaming someone else. Then I suddenly noticed the kitten had slipped over to the computer at some point and had pinned my wife down on the table. Be good, coffee. That's your brother's lifeline. Don't move around, I said. Unexpectedly, it ignored me and smirked evilly. The next second, it slapped my wife across the face. I quickly reached out to catch her, but luckily there was no harm done. As I pondered the unpredictability of life, I heard someone walking outside the door. The girl immediately recognized that the owner had returned and wanted to greet them. I told her to wait because seeing a doll turn into a human might scare someone. After making sure everything was ready, I went to open the door. As soon as I opened it, the girl fell into my arms. I helped her up and asked her what was wrong. The girl thought I was being too talkative and told me to give the kitten back to her without further ado. After seeing the kitten, the girl picked it up and was about to leave. I stopped her and told her that there was something wrong with the stuffed toy that came with the kitten. However, she didn't care and told me to just throw it away. Then she ran back to her room, leaving me no choice but to spend the night with the kitten. When I returned to my room, I found the kitten lying weakly on the ground with a bright white light. The girl's body began to slowly disappear. I couldn't calm down for a long time. Was it possible that there would be no trace of existence just because she was abandoned? I fell asleep in sadness and confusion. When I woke up, it was already the second night. Thinking that I would never see the kitten again, my eyes became a bit lonely. But now, thinking about it was pointless. I decided to quickly summon Night Sky, set my alarm clock, and pass the time by watching videos. As the alarm rang, I immediately used my power and Night Sky appeared. She rushed towards me, and although it was a bit exciting, it was what I wanted. My phone became a cute girl, and she even rode on my body. I asked her to get down, but before I knew it, Night Sky started giving me a full body massage. I couldn't handle it and quickly ran to the bathroom. The Night Sky suddenly appeared and asked me if I needed help. The sudden fright made the rushing water stop abruptly. I told her to leave quickly and I would be fine. As I walked out of the bathroom, I felt a bit uncomfortable in some places. At this time, Night Sky walked over and asked me to take her to see the outside world. I had already planned to take her on a date today. When she found out that she could go out and play with me, Night Sky suddenly felt like the happiest phone in the world. Walking down the snack street, we looked just like a couple. I never thought that I could go on a date with a girl in my lifetime. Just as I was feeling emotional, the long line caught Night Sky's attention. Following her gaze, I realized she was hungry. Without hesitation, I asked the boss to make 3 portions for Night Sky to eat. After eating, Night Sky was very happy. At this moment, a voice behind us caught our attention. It turned out to be a girl selling jewelry. Night Sky instantly lost her resistance. I asked the boss about the price, hoping it wasn't too expensive. When I learned the price, I felt relieved. Night Sky picked up a ring and asked me if it looked good on her ring finger. I couldn't help but imagine marrying her, so I readily paid for it and bought it. However, the girl took the money and ran away. The vendor behind us shouted that the urban management was coming. The once bustling alley suddenly became extremely quiet. Night Sky said she still needed change, and only then did I realize what had happened. We chased after her into a small alley, but couldn't find her anymore. I was about to give up when I stood up to leave. However, what I saw in front of me made me blush. It turned out to be a red light district. I pulled Night Sky and was about to leave this place, but a familiar figure caught my attention. It was my parents. If they found out that I brought a girl here, I would be in big trouble. Without saying a word, we quickly headed towards a hotel. Dodging through the night sky, we found a hotel and hurriedly hid inside, afraid of being seen if we went outside. I decided to book a room first to lay low. The owner understood immediately when he saw me coming in with a girl and said there was only a queen room available. At the time, I didn't think too much about it and told him to open any room. When we arrived at the room, I was stunned when I opened the door. What was going on? Why was the room decorated so pink? Was it to match the hotel's name? However, the Night Sky didn't seem to mind and said she was very satisfied with it. I sat on the bed, afraid to look at her, worried that I wouldn't be able to control myself. But the more I tried to suppress my thoughts, the more I started to think. Night Sky saw me sweating profusely and asked me what was wrong. I lied and said that the room was too hot and I needed to turn on the air conditioner. The cool breeze helped to calm me down. Night Sky was afraid that I would catch a cold and suggested that I take a shower first. It was a good idea, but when I turned my head to look at the bathroom, I realized that the glass was transparent. This was too exciting for me. I explained that I wasn't used to it and suggested that I should go home and shower. However, Night Sky pointed out that I didn't seem to be too particular about things like this on a regular basis. Her words caught me off guard. If she could tell my every move from my phone status, did she also see what was happening inside the bathroom? I wished I could find a hole to hide in. Night Sky told me not to worry and that she wouldn't tell anyone. I finally breathed a sigh of relief and lay on the bed to calm down. But unexpectedly, Night Sky blushed and said she wanted to have me all to herself. I sat up immediately, stunned that a girl had said that to me for the first time. Although she transformed into a cell phone, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Night Sky wanted me to kiss her, and I I couldn't believe my ears. As I watched Night Sky approach slowly, she asked me to give her a kiss. I wonder if I'll have to charge her later. After taking a shower that day, I reached for my underwear and a bright light flashed. Suddenly, a girl appeared before me. Following her gaze, I realized that I was completely exposed. I quickly asked her to leave, but the girl was mischievous and claimed we had already done more intimate things. The next second, I kicked her out. I never thought the worst thing would happen. After I cleaned up, I left the room, only to see the girl standing alone on the balcony. Curiously, I asked her what she wanted to do. The girl said she wanted to see the outside world, not be locked in a closet every day, or be held by a strange object. I was speechless. Isn't that the duty of being underwear? Seeing her pleading eyes, I felt a little conflicted. Isn't this a perverted behavior? So, I quickly refused, but the girl hugged my arm and acted coquettishly. I felt a touch of softness from my arm. I couldn't help but blush. I said it's a one-time thing. The girl was happy, and she even gave me a kiss on the cheek. Looking at the innocent look on her face, I never dreamed that I would be kissed by my underwear one day. Before I could react, the girl dragged me away impatiently. At least let me put on some clothes first. We walked through the neighborhood. Hurry up, and said, aren't you usually pretty fast? I was speechless for a moment. I argued that she was walking too fast. Seeing me panting, the girl didn't expect me to be so fast and unable to continue. I always felt she meant something by it, but I couldn't say anything. At this time, the girl looked at the vending machine with great curiosity and asked me what it was. I explained it to her and bought 2 bottles of Coke, but the girl didn't want to drink it, considering it just colored liquid. Both of us fell silent, and if we continued, we'd probably be thrown into a small black room. The girl broke the silence first and wanted to stay here for the night. To get me to agree, she leaned in my arms and acted cute, but how could I waver? I would never let her sleep on the streets. The next morning, I was awakened by the sound of discussion. A bunch of people were looking at me with strange eyes, and the girl had already returned to her previous appearance. At this point, I wanted to dig out a 3-bedroom apartment with my foot. I was thinking about what kind of girl I should find when I suddenly heard a strange sound downstairs. I curiously leaned on the balcony and found 2 people sneaking around a car. Little Seven was messing with the car lock, and the man beside her kept urging her on, paying no attention to my quiet arrival downstairs. As a good citizen, how could I sit idly by? But it was too late to call the police now. Suddenly, I thought of something. Just as Little Seven was about to unlock the car and escape, I gave my phone a burst of energy and threw it out. Night Sky transformed into human form and hit Little Seven. Night Sky was confused, asking who I was and where I was. The accomplice next to me was also scared to death by this scene. While in a daze, I kicked with both feet towards the attacker with a thunderous force. When I got back home, there was news online about it being reported by the media. A man claimed that his phone turned into a person and flew towards him, but no one believed him. From his terrified eyes, I experienced what it felt like to be a hero for the first time. At this time, Night Sky was overheating due to carrying too much load and wanted to take off the phone case. I quickly stopped her. Night Sky asked me if I wasn't always researching girls' clothes. Can I help her find something cooler to wear? I immediately decided to take her swimming at the beach. When we arrived at the beach, Night Sky was very excited to swim. She had never touched water before, but what's so difficult about it? I can teach her step by step. While bragging, I heard a female voice behind me. When I turned around, a group of hot women caught my eye. Listening to her introduce swimsuits, although I felt like I was being scammed, I still followed her to the lingerie store to take a look. Night Sky looked at the dazzling array of lingerie and couldn't help but exclaim, "All these clothes are so beautiful, just like the ones in Brother's phone." I quickly stopped her from saying more and asked her to pick out an underwear for Night Sky to try on. When Night Sky put on the clothes, she looked very pretty. This was really testing my nerves. Just when I couldn't wait to take her swimming, someone suddenly called my name. When I realized who it was, I was very surprised. The next second, she cursed me for being a heartbreaker and how I had let her down. What was going on? Even Night Sky looked bewildered. I just remembered an old playmate from my childhood. I didn't expect her to have changed so much now. I almost didn't recognize her. When she saw that I had forgotten her, Xin Xiaolan was quite unhappy. Night Sky was afraid and held onto my arm. "Brother, is this young lady someone you know?" I introduced her as my childhood friend, but Xin Xiaolan didn't believe me. She had always been ambiguous about me having a girlfriend, and even made people call me brother. I always felt that she had misunderstood something. Xin Xiaolan confessed her feelings to me when we were young, but I only treated her as a little sister. As a result, I found someone even younger than her. Childhood memories rushed into my mind. We used to play together all the time, and our parents joked about arranging a marriage between us. Xin Xiaolan believed it was true, blushing and saying she would be my bride when she grew up, but I was obsessed with games and ignored her. When I lost a game, I blamed her for disturbing me at a critical moment. Xin Xiaolan thought I didn't want to marry her and cried bitterly. I explained that I was young and didn't know any better, but Xin Xiaolan wasn't interested in hearing me say all that. She whispered to Night Sky that I was a pervert and to tell her if I ever bullied her. But I promised Xin Xiaolan that I wouldn't bully Night Sky. Xin Xiaolan gave me one last warning, and I promised to keep it in mind as we walked home. Suddenly, Night Sky said I was very popular with girls. I explained that I only treated her as a little sister. When Night Sky heard this, she stopped in her tracks and asked if I only saw her as a little sister too. I was slightly taken aback by her serious gaze. Even a fool could sense the implication. I mustered up the courage to ask her if she wanted to be the boss's woman. Unexpectedly, at the critical moment, the night sky slowly dissipated and eventually turned into the shape of a mobile phone. Even the mouse turned into a little loli, who even forced me to give her a massage. I have a superpower where everything I touch turns into a girl, so I wrapped my hand in bandages for the sake of my physical and mental health. Just as I was checking my exam results, the bandages unexpectedly fell off, and a dazzling white light appeared before my eyes. When I opened my eyes, my hand accidentally landed on a little loli's leg, and before I could react, I was hit in the face with a left whip kick. I was supposed to be her owner, so she should have felt honored, right? But she was just standing there like nothing happened. I didn't have time to deal with her because checking my exam results was more important, but she didn't seem to want to move from the table, so I came up with an idea and asked her if she wanted to see what she looked like right now. I told her there was a mirror in the wardrobe, and she fell for it and went to check herself out. While she was gone, I remembered that the mouse had turned into a girl, so I wondered if the phone, which had turned into the night sky, could still receive calls. I turned to look at the little loli, who was about to check herself out in the clothes, and I hurriedly stopped her, warning her that girls shouldn't lift their skirts casually. She promised me, but in the next second, she started to mess around again. I didn't have time to play with her, so I called her over and began to study her from all angles. However, I couldn't find the button, and the loli kept retreating under my creepy gaze. Could this guy actually be a lolicon? If I turn into a little loli now, will he lose control and become a beast? A noble man misunderstood by a mouse, I quickly explained. Little loli agrees to help me, but with a condition. Because I usually click on her when playing games, she got sore. So, I have to give her a massage. I'm speechless. Who would be stupid enough to give a mouse a massage? Seeing that I'm unhappy, the girl says some harsh words, asking if I only enjoy using her and if I'm also interested in the mouse turned into a girl. I quickly explain that I'm not that kind of pervert. Then I ask what kind of massage she wants. She waves her hand and tells me to do whatever feels comfortable. Since that's the case, I won't hold back. The mouse turns into a little loli, and she asks me to massage her. I hear her moaning and feel that something's odd, but seeing her so vulnerable, an evil idea springs to my mind. I suddenly grab her ankle and give it a strong squeeze. She becomes ticklish and begs me not to touch that spot. I explain that it's a unique leg massage and that it will pass. However, the girl says that she doesn't want to experience that kind of massage. Before she can finish her sentence, I apply pressure again. She can't take it anymore, and I grin. If you don't massage me well, you won't be able to use the computer later, she says. This little loli fanatic is scheming against me. She's doing it on purpose. When I approached the girl, she was a bit resistant, so I had to say that if she didn't like it, we wouldn't do it. After much persuasion, the girl finally agreed to come to the computer with me. She let me put my hand on her head so that I could use the mouse. I started checking my grades and was happy to find out that I didn't fail any courses. However, there was still a big problem waiting for me. I hadn't started my summer homework at all. Looking at the homework in front of me, my scalp began to tingle with fear. If only someone could help me write it. Suddenly, I thought of something. If I could summon a pen fairy, wouldn't all my problems be solved? So, I got to work. I removed the bandage from my hand and used my superpower to give it life. A white light flashed, and a beautiful woman appeared before me. Just as I was about to ask her to help me with my homework, the woman suddenly pounced on me and pinned me down on the bed. At that moment, I felt like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Stuttering, I asked her what she wanted to do. The woman approached me with a smile and said, "What else can I do?" "Of course, I'll teach you biology."